Also, she's more worried and sentimental when she's being complimentary and sensitive to Virgil, who's diving deeply, and she even gets really sad when she thinks about his losing it, and she becomes open and vulnerable and admits she loves him, that she doesn't like being a cast iron bitch, partially due to One Eye telling her she needs to be personal, making her realize that she should be personal with Virgil, as he might be about to die, and she realizes that she might lose him, and now truly realizes what her feelings for her mean to her, and that she often felt alone. She also admits that to him, but that they have each other, and that she's sorry she couldn't tell this before, and she then becomes a caring person, and does learn to be open and sensitive, and acts very kind and understanding, and also still acts bossy at first, not accepting Death, telling Bud his oxygen counter could be wrong and that he should climb back up, but she then acts accepting he will die because he tells her he knew he had to do it, but that he loves her and that she's still his wife, and she's really sad, but then Bud informs her he's alive and that the aliens are nice and peaceful and want us to become wiser, and she becomes very happy and starts her life over by kissing him and being caring and focusing on love. So she has a very detailed, deep arc, and one reviewer criticized the arc, saying that the film wants us to believe that driven women become doting wives, and that is just really sexist. She's a cold person who focuses simply on material things who becomes less selfish. We like that with characters like Han Solo. With them we think that being selfish is bad, but apparently in women that is good, and it means they are driven. That's apparently what is the feminist ideal. A woman who just cares about herself. That's being a strong, independent woman. Being a bitch. Actually, that makes perfect sense. And learning to care for others is becoming a doting wife. Selfishness is good in woman. Whoa, that is just... You know what? I've had it. I'm back. I'm gonna get you all in the basement. I mean the kitchen. Yeah, she was selfish and cold. That is bad. She becomes more caring and selfless. That is good. And people really grow like that in real life. And she's more vulnerable at the end, as she herself, as well as the man she realizes she still loves, might be about to die. Yeah. I'm gonna murder you all. Yeah. I'm gonna come after you. And I'm gonna send my army after you. Granted, I haven't paid them in a while and they are organizing a strike, but this will probably set them off as well. They hate feminists also. They're people from Kansas, so of course. Her character is also really original in that she isn't purely selfish. She does care for other people, she just is afraid to show this. And she trained herself not to do so, and she also had supportive motherly instincts from the beginning, and she's never totally cold. And she's also a very fresh and original female character, and that she's very strong and self-reliant, but it isn't overplayed that she's really tomboyish, as she still wears pretty dresses, she can still be motherly from the beginning, and she's just very handy and smart, but she's also just smart, and she isn't like overly tough or rough or dirty. She still is also a very pretty woman, so this came very natural and was very different from the Sarah Connor in Terminator 2 or the Ripley in Aliens. It was a very nice combination and made her a very three-dimensional and original character even more so. And also her character has really strong motivation. She goes down to the rig because she wants to see her rig handled well, but also because she secretly is worried Virgil will get hurt in a dangerous situation, and because she's so stubborn and so bossy, she of course automatically thinks that he cannot take care of himself. And as the storm gets very dangerous, she gets stuck there, she cannot immediately get back up to the surface, so she's forced to help them survive from the dangers, as she needs to survive herself, and she goes to care for them and helps them survive, as deep down she does care for other people, and they need her help not to die, and she helps protect the aliens, as they gave her a newfound sense of idealism, as she saw very beautiful, peaceful, wise beings existed aside from humans. Also, she has a really strong backstory. She was long involved with being trained as a diver, and she always was very work obsessed, and when she got appointed as designer of rigs, she became even more competitive, distancing herself from others. But as she did fall in love in the past, she's not a totally bad person and does feel for others. Unlike me. Yeah, you will all perish. At the very least, if I get to you before my baptism. Yeah, I will be baptized in around 2.5 weeks, and since that means being freed from all my sins, after that I will be accountable for all my sins, so you better not cross me before that. But then again, I do have to finish my scripts on some other reviews, and I will be busy with that, so you're probably safe. Don't worry about it. Her character is also really likable. Many people complained she would just be a bitch, but that is a flaw she overcomes. She was even warm sometimes in the beginning, like she was towards Kat, but also hardworking and helpful, so stop comparing her to me. No, wait, I meant... No, exactly that. Yeah, no, that's what I meant. So, also her character has a clear role in the story as well, that is affected by who she is. She is very determined and blunt, which provokes Coffee, reveals his plan and causes her to lead them to stop him, and she also grows to be more idealistic, which causes her to bring up the fact that what is down there are aliens. She also does many other crucial things, like saving one of the steels where the rig is crashing and piloting the sub in the chase with Coffee. The romance between her and Virgil is really strong also. It is well demonstrated in the story, how they feel about each other, and we see many places they care for each other, but also why they have troubles together, and this nicely grows gradually, at first worse, but eventually better, and it has really a strong backstory as well. They stayed together alone in a storm, so became circumstantially a couple and married together by the room, and as she got an important position as a rig designer, she distanced herself from him, as she was always so much focused on the material, but we later discovered they really had feelings for each other, as Virgil made her feel less alone, so although they may have forgotten the good times, those did exist. So they were estranged from each other, as this was very three-dimensional. It came from both Lindsay and Virgil, because Lindsay became too obsessed and focused on the job and distanced herself from Virgil, but he wasn't honest or decisive enough to say something about it. He's the more hopeful one and sentimental one, though, as he kept his ring on, but Lindsay couldn't really move on either, as she broke up with the new guy that he was dating. You know what, I'm a little bit hungry again. These are tiny stones. Why did I wait a week to film the next part? I never want macaroni again. I want something different the next time. I'm going to choose something next for the next review, a new gimmick. I know, spaghetti. Yeah, that will be nice. Yeah. Alright, I'm back in a good mood. Let's move on. Then at first, when she gets on the rig, she's very concerned about him. She came down there while she had little to add to the operation, clearly to help Virgil, which also shows her stubbornness, as she thinks they would automatically need her help, but she refuses to show this. She claims that she just came for the rig, and Virgil is more complimentary, giving her a nice place to sleep and asserting that they still care for each other. They both have very different sides and angles on this relationship as well, showing immediately how both still have feelings in their relationship for each other, and that the relationship can grow throughout this film. But she's distant and he's obsessive, wanting to know how her relationship is doing, and though it failed, Lindsay is very overly evasive, asserting it isn't a part of his life anymore, and she does show some vulnerability, being surprised by the fact Virgil still wears this ring, which shows how both are vulnerable. And the nice insight on Lindsay in the relationship, she's trying to shut him completely out, and she's so afraid to be vulnerable, and Virgil feels hurt by her evasiveness, and he gets frustrated and acts condescending, and then she gets angry and shuts him off. We see Virgil isn't understanding enough to deal with someone as aggressive as Lindsay, and she gets really mean towards him and hurts him by only focusing on a rig. We see Lindsay really cares about him, but shuts this side of herself off, even though she's still dedicated to him, because that's why her relationship with this new person obviously failed, which is nicely subtle. We see she still cares for him and she still remains around him, and she obviously didn't want to have another relationship, and she still cared so much for Virgil, as she had no other reason why she didn't really want to be with the person anymore. And we see nicely in the story that she cares for him and that he's being supportive of her, but both have flaws that combine very badly. And so this really develops three-dimensionally. We see Virgil gets condescending, as he cannot be honest about how she hurts him, and he's indecisive enough, and she gets angry and she wants to distance herself to be less vulnerable. We see Virgil gets frustrated and loses hope and throws his ring away, but he takes it back as he cannot stop caring for her, which just nicely shows just how much he likes and liked her. So we see both care for each other and both have problems based on the three-dimensional characters that play into each other. We see both struggle and are stuck, making for a dark low point. Their characters' problems tie into their relationship problems, but the romance has unique aspects that are separate from the individual character arcs, like that Lindsay is actually so distant from her warm side that she is confused by Virgil being so hopeful and still having his ring on, and that she shows her vulnerable side only in front of Virgil, and that Virgil only obsesses so much over their specific romance and not over anything else. Yeah, sometimes people are just mean as they are afraid of being vulnerable. And sometimes because everyone else is either a hypocrite, a dumbass, willingly a dumbass, selfish, a heretic, someone who disagrees with me, or a heretic, or someone who disagrees with me. So then we see their romance grow when Lindsay sees an alien and sees it made a crew member get into a coma, and because of this she's concerned about the crew more. She sees someone got hurt, she becomes more caring, which starts her character's growth, and this at the same time causes her to become more caring and less selfish, and therefore allows her to open up more, specifically to Virgil, as she is still closest to him, and at first she doesn't want to talk about it, but he is the more hopeful one and therefore asserts that she can trust him, causing her to be more open, and she's still annoyed about him being mean to Hippie, as they are both hot-tempered, and this still combines badly. And then when she becomes more caring, when the rig crashes and she helps Virgil by rerouting power, Virgil also grows, realizes that he wants to be more open to her, and he realizes he really appreciates she's there, and they can really share their worries again, as Lindsay already shared her suspicions, and she's really helpful to him. But she remains superficial, like saying she isn't happy to be there herself, but they can laugh together. And it is really deep. It explains the one night, the superficial reasons he would have married her. And he feels as though she had groomed, so he's a little bit pessimistic still, not admitting his true feelings. But at the same time, he does defend his choice to be with her and thinks a lot about her again. Yet he's still a bit decisiveless, blaming himself. And one night informs him that she isn't half as smart as he thinks she is, so his good friend makes him realize that he's too self-doubting, allowing him to be more proactive in his feelings for her. And I'm gonna be more proactive again also, on my feelings. For my hatred. For example, we should go to the Eastern Orthodox Patriarch and tell him that they used to acknowledge papal supremacy, and they only stopped acknowledging it because we mistreated the Byzantines. And we should tell them we're sorry for that, and we will no longer politically mistreat them, nor neglect them theology-wise, that we will take their opinion seriously and ask them to rejoin the flock and be brothers again with us, the Catholic Church. Fuck my therapist! So then Lindsay sees the aliens and shocks the crew of her stories, and Virgil doesn't want any hysteria, but her having become more idealistic, she's finally open to Virgil, asserting that he knows her and that she wants his support. But he cannot be there for her yet, but they do become closer with him sleeping next to her, and they're telling him to turn on his side so he doesn't snore, showing they can bond again, and then she is really soothing to Virgil and comfortable around him. We see they can sleep together again. And no, not in that way, you pervert. So Virgil meets the aliens and he sees how beautiful they are, and Lindsay gets him to relax, showing they can trust him, and he then supports Lindsay in her theories, and we see they can be open and happy again, sharing similar idealism and hope they didn't have before, and Lindsay is really capable of making Virgil become more courageous, and we see then that Virgil becomes courageous and proactive, protecting Lindsay from Coffee, and he can really be protective of her, and she becomes more trusting of him, listening to his advice. Not to mess with Coffee, but she's still a little bit distant, not telling him of her plan to film the aliens. So then Coffee locks them all up, but they are freed, and Lindsay is now even scared of losing Virgil, which she's open about when he is gonna go into the cold water and fight Coffee himself, and then we see they can truly compromise and listen to each other, working together in the chase, and even complimenting each other afterwards, and be openly scared like when they are about to drown. And here we see, not too late in the film, so it can still really have effect, that Lindsay truly loves Virgil, she's selfless, sacrificing her life for him, and admits she's scared, and even kisses him on his suit, and he's totally decisive for her and sad to lose her life, and he gets really angry, totally persistent to revive her when he thinks she's dead. And after this they can really be open with each other, and he can calm her down when he takes in the breathing fluid, and she's this time scared for his life. Oh, and I got a letter from the church. Let me show it to you. In this envelope, they praise me for my newfound tolerance in preparation for my coming baptism. God damn it! I just wanted to put on armor, take out a machine gun, and march to Palestine. Wait, that's ruled by the Jews now, so that would be anti-Semitic. Even better! That's just what I wanted to do, but no, I have to turn the other cheek, all that sort of nonsense. What does that have to do with Roman Catholicism? Being nice to my enemies, that's ridiculous. You're nice to those of your side, that's normal, and you're horrible to your enemies. It's either an IT for thief. Wasn't that the basis of the commandments that Jesus gave to the apostles? I mean, I can remember reading that. No, wait, I never read the Bible, but that's what my priest told me. He's from Brazil, and the other one is from Morocco. A country where very little people are Catholics and they're a discriminated minority. Maybe that's got something to do with it, but I like this attitude towards him. He was planning on blowing up a mosque and a whole bunch of buildings. I know what you're thinking, it doesn't sound very Catholic, it sounds kind of hypocritical when you're criticizing all of the terrorists over there. Shut up.